Have you ever had sign after sign after sign pointing you to a certain direction to the point to where you're like, okay, I can't ignore this because if I do, then I'm just willfully being disobedient. Well, that's my story today. In the last episode, I talked about why I left social media. So in this episode, I'm going to talk about why I'm coming back. And I did mention that I felt God nudging me. And so, like I said, I was very happy. I don't want to say just being a mom, because that sounds like I know a lot of people are like, oh, I'm just a mom. No, you're more than that. But I was very happy being focused on being a mom and doing all the things with my baby. And just like I said before, I was like, I'm going to focus on, strengthening my relationship with God. Because if you read the Bible verse where it talks about how women will be sanctified through childbirth or through having babies, 100% I have lived that and I understand it now. So I said that's going to be my focus. I'm going to try to be the best wife I can and just the best mother that I can. And of course, I kept the Bible study. And I was like, I'm going to lead that. Even though I kept showing up imperfectly, I was like, I think I should just still show up, even if I don't feel as prepared as I was before. Or sometimes I would just literally show up and I hadn't. And I feel guilty saying this, but I hadn't read the chapter before. But I knew that we would watch the video, and then from there, God would guide the conversation, and He always did. And there were times where I felt so guilty that I thought about just stopping it. And I'm so glad I didn't, because He actually used, He always uses all of them, but He specifically used one on forgiveness to get something, to address something in me that I didn't even know was still there. So those were the things that I was focused on, right? I already felt like my plate was super full. If you're a housewife, you know that the list of the to-do list never ends, right? There's always something, especially with children. So out of nowhere, so I started thinking about social media like randomly, and I was like, okay, I'll pray about it, but I had no intention of actually doing anything. And I guess God saw that. So I had an old friend message me out of nowhere, and she's like, hey, how's it going? And, she said, I'm having doubts about my religion. I found out certain things that I didn't know about it, and now I'm questioning everything. She said, I want to learn more about Christianity, and I've been looking at your page, and I keep refreshing and asking, where is she? Why is she not posting? And that impacted me because I understand that God uses people and He uses social media and He just has a way of doing things. But I think at times we tell ourselves that we're not that important, maybe. And I think that's just us looking at ourselves and not looking at God, because God can literally use anyone. So when I left social media, as I mentioned before, I didn't even address it because I was like, what does it matter? It just seemed to me like people who are like, oh, I'm leaving social media and this and that, and announcing it is giving themselves a lot of self-importance. And I know that sounds bad. It sounds like I'm judging, but to me, I was like, it doesn't matter. If I need to not be on social media, I'll just not be on social media, right? I don't need to announce it. But then I didn't realize, I guess I wasn't thinking of people who actually were coming to my page to have certain questions answered. Because sometimes you guys know that as I'm growing, as I'm learning, I immediately share it with you guys. That's just my personality. I'm not someone who's like, okay, I'm going to go and master this thing or become an expert or even fully understand it. I'm like, I learned something new. I'm excited about it. I'm going to share it with you guys because if it bless me, it'll probably bless you too. But also when I talk about it or I teach it, then I understand it even better than I did before I try to explain it. So I guess I was just feeling like it. I wasn't thinking that, hey, God put you on this platform for a reason and He wants to use you. Because I think a lot of the times we struggle with self-worth, and that's just an honest thing, because who am I that God would want to use me? But He does, right? He wants to use all of us. We are all the hands and feet of Jesus. That's what we're told, right? And He gives us all gifts, and He expects us to do the work. He says that the work is plenty and the harvest is plenty and the workers are few. So in my head, I was like, it's okay because I'm taking care of my home. And that's really that's my main ministry, right? That's, if my home isn't good, how can I go out there and try to tell people other things? So, which is true. You should make your home a priority, but also if God has something else that he's asking you to do, then, you need to listen. All right. So she messages me that. And then 3 days later, so I had been reading a book by my friend Jamie. She wrote 2 books, and I was already on the second book. And the second book talks about purpose. And so it just happened that 3 days later, I opened the book to read it because I had finished a chapter and then I hadn't gone back. So I opened it and it's a chapter on the talents. If you don't know the parable of the talents, it's a landowner. He has servants and he's going to go away for some time. So he says he gives one servant a bag of, I believe it's a bag of gold. He gives to one servant, he gives 5 bags. To the other servant, he gives 2 bags. And to the third servant, he gives 1. So the servant who got 5 bags goes and invests it. And then the one with 2 bags also goes and invests. And the one with the 1 bag doesn't. So he buries the money. So when then the owner comes back, he asks for his money back. And the one who he had given 5 to gives him 10 back. And he says, good job, well done, and I'll give you more because you were able to manage what I gave you. You did really well with you managed really well what I gave you, so I'm going to give you more. And then the second one who he gave 2 to comes back with 4. He tells him the same thing. And then the one that he gave 1 to, he just gives him back his 1 bag. And he said, you lazy servant, why didn't you at least go invest it at the bank to get some interest while I was gone? And, he says, I'm going to throw you where there is weeping and gnashing of teeth. And I'm so very familiar with this story because I feel like God used it to bring me, to change my message that I was giving on social media after the accident that I had. If you've been following, I had an accident. I think it's a lot. So, yeah, that's a topic for a different day. But I was doing fitness and pageantry, and then he just completely changed my message to people need to hear about God and what he's been doing in my life. And even if I'm not, this perfect person, which obviously I'm not, God still is doing things in me, just like how he is doing things in you, and everybody else. So we all need to, I think it's really helpful when we all share and encourage each other because we never know who else is going through the same thing. So, yeah, so I read that story and I'm like, okay. So I message her and I'm like, hey, I just read the chapter that you wrote on the parable of the talents a few days ago. This is the message I got from an old friend. And she said, and I told her, I was like, but it just sounds like a lot, so I'm going to pray about it. Like, it just, like, to do everything I'm doing right now and then add social media on top of that, it just sounds like a lot to me, right? Me, the human. So, I said, I'm going to pray about it. Please help me pray about it. So she does. And then, we pray about it. And then I talked to Juan about it, and he's like, yeah, of course, super supportive. So I'm like, okay. And then maybe another 3 days later, I'm on my Bible app, and I wish I would have looked up the Bible verse. I should have done it. But I don't remember exactly which one it was or exactly how it was worded, but it said something along the lines of, he answers those who believe in him and call onto him, but how can they believe in him if no one has told them about him? So I was like, okay, I hear you. And then I think it's like maybe the next week or a few days later, I'm on a play date with my friend Jamie, and she asks me about it, and I was like, I feel guilty saying this, but I don't want to. And I feel so bad because I was like, this powerful, magnificent God wants to use me, and I'm like, in my human mind, I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to do this, basically is what it is. And then I'm like, but I was like, I guess Moses didn't want to either, right? I'm trying to make myself feel better and use examples from the Bible where God used someone and they didn't want to initially. And then so the next morning I usually do a devotional in the mornings when I wake up, and it was talking about how Jesus told the Father, if it's possible, let this cup pass from me, but let your will be done, right? So Jesus didn't want to, right? He didn't want to do that, but he's like, but don't let it be my will, let it be your will. And then that day we were gonna meet up. Also, I don't want to say where, but I saw her that day. We took our kids somewhere, and I saw her that day. Anyway, so I told her, I was like, how I was just telling you about Moses and like all these other people who didn't want to. And I was like, I read in the devotional, like it was a reminder that Jesus also didn't want to, but he said, don't let my will be done, let your will be done. Which is, obviously, I was like, he's not asking me to do what he asked Jesus to do, but I just felt like the things that the Bible shares is really for us to understand, like that's part of you being human, because Jesus also being God, he was also human, right? So instead of like being ashamed or shaming yourself for feeling a certain way, just understand, hey, this is my flesh, this is me being human, but because I have God's Spirit in me, I'm going to do it anyway. And I'm going to do whatever his will is for me to do. And she's like, yeah, so we talk about that. And then, I come home and then I continue reading the book. And in the next chapter, she talks about how Jesus said that. And I was like, oh my goodness. So it was like so many things just lining up, and to where I was like, this is not a coincidence. Like he's clearly speaking to me. And so I'm like, okay, God. And my baby loves a song called Make a Way by Elevation Worship. And he's always asking me to put it on. He'll be like, P. And then he puts his little hand up and he's like, P. And that means praise. So he loves to praise. And he loves watching Elevation Worship videos. And he'll like, have his little hand up and like sway his little hips. It's so cute. But his favorite song is Make a Way. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to pray that. I was like, God, if it is your will, please make a way. And I go to H-E-B, order curbside order. And when you do that, sometimes they give you samples. And that day, the girl brought out a coffee in a can. And I don't usually drink caffeine outside of my morning coffee. So I was like, okay, like I took it and I didn't think anything of it. I put it in the fridge. I got home, I put it in the fridge and forgot about it. And then that very day, I remember just, because I'm still breastfeeding, so I haven't slept through a whole night in 15 months. So there are some days where it really hits me, and then there's some days where I'm doing really good. So that specific day, it was 5:30 in the afternoon. Juan was on his way home from work. And I was just so tired, like just ready to fall asleep. And I look around, the house is a mess. Toys everywhere. So, and I'm like, I can't live like this. I'm like, I can't, like, this is not okay, right? So I'm like, I need to clean the house. I can't just, and Juan's very understanding. Like, if he got home, and I would have been like, oh, I'm so tired. He would have been like, well, go to sleep, I'll take care of it. But I was like, I don't want that to be the standard, because I feel like I'm being an example to my son, and I don't want him to grow up seeing me be that way. So if you don't personally know me, before I had him, I was always like a messy person. Cleanliness, not cleanliness, messiness. That's different. Had always been like a struggle for me. So now that I have him, I'm like, no, like I'm dealing with this. Like, we're not gonna live in a messy home. Like, so I've gotten so much better about it. But anyway, all that to say, I'm like, what am I gonna do? And I remember the coffee in the fridge, and I go and I drink it, and then out of nowhere I get all this energy. I start cleaning the house. I printed out all his materials for his homeschool, so I'm up until 4 a.m. just doing things. And I go to bed and I'm like, I feel like God bought me a coffee. Like, it sounds silly, but it's almost like he said, here, drink this. Like, it's possible. Like, let me show you that it's possible to do what I'm asking you to do. Like, I'm going to be with you, and I'm going to, I want to say pull you through, but yeah, basically that. So I'm like, okay. And then I'm like, I'm going to do it. So the other day, I recorded the first episode. Baby was taking a nap. Juan was taking a nap as well. And I was like, let me just do it. And surprisingly, I was able to record the whole episode, edit it, and upload it. I haven't posted it because I want to wait to have a few episodes before I do that. But, and then the baby woke up after I finished doing all that. And I was like, God, because I asked him, if it's from you, make a way. And everything just flowed. And before that, that would have never been me. Whenever I used to record, first of all, I never recorded solo. I always had to have someone with me because I'm like, I don't feel comfortable just speaking to the camera. What am I going to say? Like, I just didn't feel comfortable. And one, solo episode. Two, I would always pause and just think, like, what am I going to say next? And then I would have to go back and edit and cut out the parts where I was silent. And this time I just ran it through. So I took that as confirmation that, yes, this is where I'm supposed to be. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. And I had been praying about it. Like, please don't let it feel forced. Like, if it's from you, I know it's going to feel, like I mentioned before, easy, but not easy in the sense that there's nothing ever hard that happens, but easy as in it doesn't feel forced. And that's exactly how I felt. So I'm not sure what exactly he wants to do with this, but I'm just saying, yes, I'm here, use me. So we'll see how the rest of the episodes go. I really hope that they are a blessing to you. I've been praying and asking him, please don't let me speak out of my own understanding. Please be you speaking through me, because you know why you have me doing this, and you know what the message is that you want to reach certain people. So whoever it is that you want to reach, like, I know you'll place this podcast in their timeline, or someone will send it to them or whatever, and you'll also give me the words. Like, you'll be you speaking through me. Do not let me be the one to be doing the speaking. So yeah, that's that's why I'm back. And I was also thinking today, or I've been thinking about, I do want him to be organized. And I was thinking, like, not necessarily a catchphrase, but sometimes I don't know how to end episodes. So I was actually reading Philippians 1:6, and it says something along the lines of, the God that started the good work in you will continue to work on it, or continue to do it until it is complete on the day that Jesus Christ comes. And I was thinking about how the podcast used to be called Built from the Inside Out, and then I was like, that's like a very long name, so I shortened it to 7 Dimensions, because I was like, they go hand in hand. It's that was the name of the podcast, but we were addressing the 7 dimensions. So I was like, maybe I can use that again, and just end it with that I'll be praying that God continues to build us from the inside out, which goes perfectly with Philippians 1:6. So I know that's like very transparent, like people just do it, they don't like tell you why they're doing it. But I guess I also want to hear your opinions on it. But yeah, so I pray that God continues to build us from the inside out, and I'll see you guys on the next one.